I think it's very regrettable that the governor chose to veto these bills. Included among them were bills that we've been trying to pass to improve the educational system of Texas for 30 years. Of course, the omnibus court bill, it created 27 new district courts in Texas. Bills which upgraded all phases of life in Texas, including municipal employees being covered under workmen's compensation. It's very unfortunate that the governor vetoed these bills, and the reason he gave, of course, is totally invalid. It's understandable that the governor, who is not a lawyer, does not understand the law and does not understand the Constitution. But it's not understandable why he didn't take the advice of the Attorney General of Texas, who under the Constitution is the chief law enforcement officer of this state, who does understand the law, who does understand the Constitution, who says the bills are constitutional. I think the people of Texas are not going to look with favor upon this veto. The net result of the veto is going to be that we're going to have a special session. It's going to cost the taxpayers of Texas $600,000 to have this special session. We don't have that kind of money in Texas. The governor should have either vetoed the bills or signed them as he saw fit, consistent with his conscience, without trying to hide behind a legal fiction that he, as a non-lawyer, could not really perpetrate on us. If the governor is angry with the lieutenant governor, he should take his anger out on the lieutenant governor personally and individually. He should not subject the people of Texas to $600,000 in new tax money. He should not deny the people of Texas 27 new district courts where criminals can be brought to justice and sent to the penitentiary and put behind bars.
The kind of tour of Dallas that began here this afternoon at the Presbyterian Center on South Harwood Street won't likely be included in the average tourist guidebook. About 50 prominent interested Dallasites, under the direction of Presbyterian Center Director Don Johnson, were shown Dallas housing from substandard all-black row houses to integrated neighborhood areas like the Robin Row area. This tour is part of a two-day special effort by the 6-month-old Greater Dallas Housing Opportunity Center. The drive is a concentrated effort to eliminate discrimination in housing. A public meeting tonight was scheduled as the high point of the effort, with Clarence Finney, Field Director of the National Committee Against Discrimination in Housing, as the main speaker. At a press conference after the tour, which Mr. Finney also took, he told reporters,
"It's right up there with the worst. You know, it's difficult to compare it in terms of the segregation index, but it has a very high segregation index just on the basis of 1960 census and the projection. And if you take a look at the neighborhoods, I think it stacks up with the worst cities. This is where the so-called American dream is interrupted, and this is where you really get your problems. You know, for the most part, the guy on the lowest end of the totem pole, you know, is not going to start raising a lot of questions. It's the blacks and the browns who struggled for a long time, believed the American dream, worked, went through school, got himself a diploma, got himself a good job, kept his nose clean, and he's got out now, he's making some money, and finds he still can't participate. And this is the guy that gets really, really, you know, teed off. And this is why I think your potential difficulties will be.
How do you answer the white homeowner who says, I wouldn't mind living next to a black person, but if I don't move out, I'm going to find my property value completely run down and I won't have anything either?
Well, I don't know that we answer folk like that anymore. There was a time when we had to appeal on the so-called moral basis, in which case you try and answer that, because you have to sell the white person on the fact that blacks ought to be able to buy homes. But nowadays, you know, it's all, you're law and order people. I mean, you must know this is the law. I mean, I'm just, you know, in favor of enforcing all the laws, you know, and open access to housing is one of them.
Tomorrow, Mr. Finney will talk with local Dallas civic officials as part of this two-day effort against discrimination in housing in Dallas. This is Teal Salon reporting.
We may have also reached the point in time, too, where there are such deep cleavages, for example, between the young, the black, the poor, the dispossessed, and those who have it made, that it's simply like living on two different planets. These people just share nothing in common, either in perspective or values anymore. Now, if we've reached that point in American society, obviously we're in much greater danger than even my 5 or 6 year time schedule would indicate, because that obviously is the kind of situation which is ripe for revolution.
You said you foresee other forms of what you called social chaos in the future. What kind, what form will this take?
Well, it's a bit hard to project. I have said, and I hope I don't have to eat these words, that I think the era of the big city riots are over, the kind of thing we experienced in this nation between 63 and 67. But obviously the nation has not dealt with the problem out of which those experiences sprang. The nation has not taken the Kerner report seriously. The nation has not responded to the problem of urban slums, to the problems of disease and poverty and unemployment, etc. Until that happens, I think we can look forward, if one can indeed use that kind of term, to continued kinds of violent social upheavals, whether they take the form of big city riots or not.
Well, I am encouraged by the ending of the bombing of North Vietnam, which is a desirable step. I am encouraged by the fact that at least we are talking and negotiating in Paris. I am even happy that we're bringing home at least 25,000 soldiers and sailors. Inadequate, of course, though, that is. But I am not encouraged yet by any sign that this government is really prepared to say to Saigon, you must settle this war, or if you choose, go on fighting without us, which is surely their privilege. And we're not telling them, I wouldn't tell them not to fight, that's their privilege. But we haven't said to them the 2 or 3 things really necessary to say this war has to be brought to an end.
The war is defended as a stronghold against communism. Do you see any danger of communism swallowing up other countries and leaving the United States isolated?
No, I don't see that. And with hardly an exception, no one can offer an example where that has happened.
Democrats have an inherited prejudice against the name Republican, not against what we stand for and not against our candidates. And yet, these people have not cultivated a taste for Republicans. How do you tell people who have never tasted a banana how a banana tastes? And it's up to us to woo them and to get them accustomed to the flavor and to desire it. For example, the Democrats, even though they have voted largely the Democratic ticket for 100 years, showed last year in 1968 that they are restless and unhappy with the leadership of their own party because the Democrats deserted their leadership in droves. And they actually came about that close to carrying Texas for Richard Nixon.